You're low on Freon. It is the most profitable sentence in the whole air conditioning business, and it is a lie. Not because your system is not low. It might be. It is a lie because low does not just happen on its own, and a recharge is not a repair. Your air conditioner runs on a sealed loop. If it is low, it is leaking, and that $500 top-off they sell you every summer never once touches the hole. I'm Ray Dutton, 25 years in this trade. Stay with me for the 4 words that shut it down for good. Start with the mechanical truth, because even Trane says it in their own manuals. Recharging is not part of routine maintenance. You only ever need it for 2 reasons. A leak opened up, or somebody set the charge wrong the day it was installed. That is the whole list. Refrigerant is not fuel. It does not burn off, it does not get used up making cold air, and a healthy system holds every ounce for 15, 20, 30 years without ever asking for a top-off. So where does it go when it drops? Most of the time, a thing called formicary corrosion. The everyday chemicals in your house, off cleaning sprays, carpet, paint, cooking, mix with the moisture sitting on your indoor coil and turn into a weak acid. That acid eats microscopic pinholes straight through the copper. You will never spot them with your eye, but they are big enough to bleed your refrigerant out slowly over a season. It can also weep from a bad braze joint or a loose fitting. Wherever it is, the point stands. The leak is the real failure. Pumping in more gas without finding it is not a repair. It is rent on a hole nobody patched, and the bill comes back next summer and the summer after that. Now here is where honest mistakes and outright scams start to blur together, and it is the part almost nobody explains. That gauge the tech glanced at does not actually prove you are low. A pressure reading is a symptom, not a verdict. The single biggest faker of a low charge is airflow. A clogged filter, a weak blower motor, a coil packed with years of dust, and not enough warm air moves across that indoor coil. The refrigerant cannot boil off the way it is supposed to. The pressure on the gauge sags, and to the eye it looks identical to a system that has lost its charge. Completely identical. So one glance at one gauge is not a diagnosis. A real one takes an airflow check, a temperature split measured across the coil, and 2 numbers the trade calls superheat and subcooling. Those numbers tell you the true state of the refrigerant as it turns from liquid to gas. That is 20 minutes of actual skill against a 2-minute gauge glance. And that shortcut is not just lazy, it is dangerous for your equipment. If the real problem was airflow, and the tech pumps 3 more pounds of gas in anyway, he just overcharged a system that was never low to begin with. That extra refrigerant floods back down the line to the compressor as a liquid. A compressor is built to pump vapor, not liquid, and liquid does not compress. It slams the valves and washes the lubricating oil straight out of the bearings, and it can kill that compressor outright. The compressor is the heart of the whole machine. Now your $500 visit just became a several $1,000 replacement. And on an older system, it gets worse. The old R22 refrigerant is being phased out, and it is expensive and getting harder to find, and the new equipment will not take it. So once that compressor dies on an old unit, you often cannot just fix it. You are pushed straight into a full replacement, $8,000 to $10,000. That same phase-out is why the low on Freon line gets weaponized 2 ways on older systems. False urgency, replace the whole thing today. Or false economy, just keep paying to top off the old R22 forever. Both roads feed the same machine. Quick note before we go further. Every question to ask and every red flag to catch on an invoice I put into a short, plain guide called the AC Survival Playbook over at raydutton.com. It is there if you want it. That is all. Back to it. Here is the arithmetic. Plain. That refrigerant costs the pro $10 to $20 a pound at the supply house. On your invoice, that same pound reads $40, $70, sometimes over $90. A straight top-off runs $200 to $500. An older R22 system, or a job where they pull the whole charge and put it back, and it climbs fast to $700, $800, $900. And not $1 of that went toward fixing why the system was low in the first place. If that math changes how you look at your last bill, subscribe, because I take one of these apart every week. So why is this everywhere? Because the business itself changed. Over the last decade, private equity firms have been quietly buying up the local family heating and cooling names you have trusted for years and folding them into big corporate chains. They keep the family name on the side of the truck, but to hit their numbers, a lot of them stopped paying technicians to diagnose and started paying them to sell. The friendly guy at your door is on commission with a daily quota. He was handed a sales script, coached on exactly how to answer when you push back on price, sometimes even personality tested before hire to make sure he is a closer and not a fixer. Finding a pinhole leak is a hard, sweaty afternoon of skilled work. Topping you off is a 15-minute sale. The paycheck was built to reward the second one. And this is not just me talking in a garage. State attorneys general have gone after companies for exactly this pattern. One recently settled a case for $300,000 over high-pressure, fear-based selling aimed at older folks on fixed incomes. Another puts out a consumer warning every single summer, telling people flat out that an air conditioner does not consume refrigerant, and a recharge is not routine maintenance. When the government has to publish that during a heat wave, you know how common this really is. Now that you see the incentive, here are the 3 specific ways it plays out, and you should know all 3. First is the phantom recharge. Refrigerant is an invisible gas, sold by weight, so you have no way to see what actually went in through the hose. So they bill you for 3 pounds and add 1. Or they add nothing at all and just bleed a little pressure off their own gauge so the needle moves and you feel taken care of. That is exactly why an honest tech weighs the jug on a scale right in front of you, before and after. Second is the top-off trap. This time the tech genuinely does find a low charge. He just never says the word leaking. He quietly sells you the recharge, knowing full well you will be calling him again next summer. He is not fixing your air conditioner. He is booking his next visit. Third is the warranty trap, and it is the meanest one. Your coil springs a leak while it is still under the manufacturer's 10-year parts warranty. The part is free, they tell you, and that much is true. What is not free is the labor to swap it, the nitrogen to purge the lines, the deep vacuum to pull it down, and the fresh refrigerant to fill it back up. None of that is covered, and they get to price those items however they like. People walk out of a free warranty repair having paid $3,000. Now, in fairness, because the real technicians watching will hold me to it, a $500 bill is not automatically a scam. If they actually found the leak, fixed the source, pulled a proper vacuum, and weighed the new charge in by the pound, that is real skilled work, and it is worth real money. And sometimes the leak is real, but the coil is buried, and the exact part is discontinued, and the honest fix costs more than the old unit is worth. In that corner, paying for one more season can be a fair call, as long as you go in with your eyes open. The whole line between fair and robbed comes down to one question. Did they show you the leak, or just hand you a bill? Which brings us to the 4 words, and there is one honest catch first. This is the rare repair you cannot legally do yourself. Refrigerant takes a federal license just to buy. The pressures are no joke, and the newer blends are flammable. So your power here is not a wrench. It is your checkbook and one sentence. Show me the leak. Say it and make them mean it. Make them run a real leak test, an electronic detector, a dye, or a nitrogen pressure test, and fix the source before they add a single drop of gas. Make them charge the system by weight on a scale, not by feel and a gauge and a guess. Make them hand you an itemized invoice that names the refrigerant, the exact pounds they put in, where the leak was, and how they found it. A recharge with no leak written on the paperwork is a red flag with a bow on it. And if this is the second summer in a row they have topped you off and never once found the leak, stop and get a second opinion. Because repeated recharges are not maintenance. They are proof nobody has done the actual job. The gas is cheap. The gauge is easy to misread, sometimes by accident and sometimes on purpose. And show me the leak costs you nothing. Down in the comments, tell me what your last recharge ran you and whether anybody ever actually showed you the leak. I read every one, and those numbers protect the next person who watches. I'm Ray Dutton. Keep your cool, and I'll see you in the next one.